In this video, I want to talk to you about a powerful concept that has helped me grow my business without feeling overwhelmed. I want to share with you a framework called Who Not How, and it truly freed up my time and helped me focus on really what matters the most to me and my business. By the way, if we haven't met yet, my name is Emmanuel. I am the founder and kind of chief talking head guy here over at Square One Group. Really, our mission, it's very simple. It is to help solopreneur founders, startup businesses grow and scale their business using systems. And this particular topic, very close to me because, listen, the bottom line here is I used to spend a boatload of my time working in my business. And when you're working in your business, you inevitably get burnt out because you're wearing multiple hats. And once I figured out that it's not a process of me understanding, what to do or how to do it, but instead finding who can do it, which is the exact kind of framework that I want to go through in this training or in this video, it was a complete game changer for me. And it removed me from working on the day-to-day of my business. And these are the exact same philosophies and frameworks and methodologies that we're currently using now to help a lot of our private clients, a lot of our solopreneurs that we're helping grow and scale their business. Like, we're taking them through this framework, and this is where they're making huge progressions in terms of the development of their companies and themselves. So let's go through some big ideas, starting off with big idea number one, and that is to time block your week. Now, the idea behind this is simple. You feel like you're always reacting to urgent tasks instead of focusing on what's important, which leads to scattered focus and very little progress to your goals. Like, I can think anecdotally about a private client that, we were working with just for a very short time, but her backstory was, she wanted to start her coaching business and she had kind of committed to it 5 years prior to us ever working together. And so what ended up, in addition to that, she also had a full-time job. And what would happen is whenever she would think about working on the business, she would just be kicking the can down the road. She would think about things to do for the business, but didn't actually start the business. It didn't really actually create any progression for her and the business until we started working together. And in 30 days, we were not only able to actually truly launch her business, but we were able to get her 3 new clients just to get into a pilot program of her coaching business. And it was a complete game changer. And it really just all started from understanding your time. So according to Dan Sullivan, he wrote the book Who Not How, and really articulated this framework by stating that the first steps for you to get unstuck from your business isn't trying to ask the question, how can I get everything done? But instead, really start to time block your week so that you can focus on what your most valuable tasks are that truly align with what your big goal is or what your big vision is. And the way I learned how to solve this problem is through a framework called the perfect week. And this is essentially how it goes. Step 1 is to clearly identify the objectives that we do on a regular basis on any given week. And this includes things that fall in the category of self-care, things for our family and friends, things that we're doing for personal development, as well as our business, our sales activities, marketing activities, fulfillment activities, and administrative activities. And once we've identified all these tasks, the next step is to open up a calendar. I personally like using Google Calendar, and I do this at the end of the previous week. So every Friday, right before I wrap up for the day, I open up my calendar and I look at my next week, and I look at all of the things that I'm going to be doing or that I've identified, like for example, recording video content, or maybe doing sales calls, or maybe meeting with clients. And I intentionally block that on my calendar for the next week. That way, I'm more proactive to everything that I need to be working on instead of reactive. Now, the next big idea is to track your time. You see, it's really great to, be proactive and to time block and to schedule out your future events. But the bottom line here is, if you don't truly know what you're working on a regular basis, it's very easy to let shiny objects start taking up all the space on your calendar and your activities. And what ends up happening is you just end up busy, but not actually feeling productive. This actually reminds me of a story that I heard about Rob Dyrdek, the skateboarder. Well, long story short, he contributes a lot of his success to meticulously tracking his time. He actually has reports breaking down what he's doing every single day, where he's allocating all of his activities. And the bottom line is he's been doing this for years. He knows what gets measured, gets managed. And when you're measuring, or when he's measuring his time, he can know how to better allocate his time to really help level him up or help increase his bottom line. And that exact same philosophy applies to my business as well as your business. So the way to implement this framework, or at least I've implemented this framework, is to essentially just time track. I use a program called Toggle. And at the end of every single day, what I do is I quickly recap what I worked on. Sometimes I like doing it throughout the day, but many times my day gets ahead of me. I forget to time track So that's why I always save it for the very end of my day, usually right before I go to sleep. I'll go on Toggle and start time tracking everything. But the bottom line here is this: when we start time tracking, we can visually identify everything that we've worked on throughout the day, and through that process, start seeing patterns on maybe what we're doing and what we shouldn't be doing. To simplify this process, what I recommend doing is to just categorize your time into the 4 main buckets where you spend the majority of your day, which is self-care, hanging out with family and friends, work, and of course, time vampires. And these time vampires, it's like the catch-all of thumb scrolling through social media or binge watching YouTube or playing video games. Like if it's not driving you, if it's not giving you energy, then yeah, it usually should go into that time vampire category. Anyway, the idea here is that once we have a visual list of everything that we've been doing, it's going to be easy for us to identify what tasks truly drain us and what tasks really drive us to move forward. So my playbook for this is actually real simple. At the end of the month, after I've logged all my time, I'll just look at this report and just ask myself the question, do I want to be doing this next month? If the answer is no, then we move on to the next big idea, which is to identify what tasks to delegate. So listen, the bottom line here is you're spending way too much time on tasks that don't align with your strengths, which limits your ability to focus on what actually moves your business forward. I remember anecdotally when I was just starting off in my business, I was doing everything from answering emails, making appointments, managing my calendar, meeting with clients, recording content, posting content, doing sales calls, doing sales follow-ups. I was doing everything, and it led me to burnout. I was exhausted. I was resentful. It's just not a fun way to be, optimizing your business. So fast forward to today and kind of some lessons that I learned, specifically one from Dan Sullivan, where he emphasizes that every entrepreneur has a unique ability, and it's our job to identify what that unique ability is for our business, and everything else that we're doing should be delegated to someone else. So let's go back to what I just mentioned earlier in the last big idea about Toggle and identifying what we're working on. Now, the goal here is to simply just red and green highlight all of the tasks. Red being things that drain us or things that we're not good at or things that we don't enjoy doing, and green for the things that drive us or the things that we enjoy doing, the things that make us happy. Everything that's a red, you just got to delegate it out. That's just the bottom line here. We need to find out who is going to be good at this task, and we need to send it to those people, because the bottom line here, it's very simple. We may not enjoy these tasks, but there is always someone out there that does. We just need to find out who that person is so we can delegate those things out. Like, for example, I hate bookkeeping, I hate accounting, I hate chasing people for money. But hey, you know who is really good at it and enjoys that? Most bookkeepers. So it's not a matter of finding a VA, but the reality is it's a matter of finding the right bookkeeper that enjoys that stuff so I can easily delegate it out to them, and they'll be able to do it easily and efficiently without me having to micromanage or create SOPs or anything like that. Like, they can just take the task and run with it, because this is, in essence, their zone of genius, while my zone of genius is something completely different. And speaking about hiring, let me present the next big idea here, which is when we hire to buy back our time, or when we hire to remove all of these reds on our Toggle report, we want to hire based on people that can hit their KPIs and OKRs. KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator, and OKRs stands for Objectives Key Results. But to help you understand this better without using these funky 3-letter words, let me just kind of lay it out for you. You need to hire people with clear expectations, because if you don't, it leads to poor performance and a waste of time. What ends up happening is you end up having to train people, coach them up, micromanage them. It's just not a good feeling to be in. Many times, most founders end up doing things themselves after trying to hire people because they're just hiring the wrong people. But the reality is, when you're hiring, in order to make you feel like the true owner, you have to hire people with talent. And you have to give these people with talent goals so that they know how to course correct, or they know what to do to get to the goal and how to course correct if they're falling, shy of the goal. That way, you're not having to deal with micromanaging. That way, they come batteries included, so that you don't really have to coach them or train them up. And you'll be able to leave the business completely and comfortably knowing that, you got someone that's running a component of the business that actually knows what they're doing, and they're actually doing it to hit a goal that you set. And I bring this up because I'll tell you right now, when I was starting up, I would even say the first 5-7 years of my business, I was just hiring anyone and everyone. I was on online jobs, I was on Upwork, I was on Fiverr, I was on every hiring site, just hiring people. And I was getting so upset because I was just burning through cash and I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. And it wasn't until I made the shift that I need to hire people based off of the specialization and their ability to hit the target goal that I articulated. And I usually ask this in the interview. And if they say that they can do it and they have the experience, I'll hire those people. And guess what? It actually gives me peace of mind that I don't need to worry about them because they know what they need to do. They know their job, they know their role, they know their responsibility, and they can make strides to get there. And so to land the plane on this particular topic, it's that whenever we hire people, we have to give them a finish line. Let's say, for example, I'm hiring an appointment setter. Well, I'm going to tell this appointment setter, you need to book 20 calls by the end of the week. That's your KPI. That's what your goal is. If I'm hiring a sales closer, I'm going to tell them that, hey, you need to collect at least, 50,000 in volume, in sales volume for the week. Being able to articulate what you expect as a result will increase the likelihood that you're going to hire the right person because they know how to articulate how to get to that result without you having to quarterback them, without you having to give them the step-by-step and the play-by-play. All right, now the last big idea is that in order to maintain top talent and make sure everyone is running your business smoothly, we need to make sure that we're constantly meeting and having clear lines of communication. Because the bottom line here is without regular intervention, or I wouldn't even say that's a bad term, maybe without regular reviews of our team members, like one-on-ones, it's going to be very easy for them to slip into bad habits. Or if we're not constantly just, making sure that they're staying aligned to the goal, they might slip into some old habits that just aren't going to help your bottom line. Like, for example, there was a point where I would hire project managers, I'd let them go and I would never talk to them for months on end. Oh my gosh, I'll tell you right now, that was just a horrible idea because I would tell them to course correct or adjust something, and then 2 or 3 months, they forget about the thing that I told them. And it's frustrating because then I have to defer back to me being the micromanager and kind of helping direct traffic. And it's not a fun feeling. So the fix to this is actually really simple. It's to have regular one-on-ones with your team members to make sure that they stay on track. Now, I mentioned earlier OKRs and KPIs, those magic lines in the sand which is the goalpost, which is where they need to reach to. Now, to make sure that we're constantly hitting the goal post or getting to the goal, I should say, the main thing is that we need to be meeting with them on a consistent basis to make sure that we're in alignment. And if there's any changes, that they're up to date on the changes. If we have new best practices or new SOPs, they're aware of it so they can implement quickly. If there's any issues or errors, we can bring them to their attention so that they can course correct and not have it happen again. By the way, if you found value in this video so far, I really appreciate it if you could click that like button, subscribe button, bell icon, all that stuff. Anyway, the bottom line here is that by regularly auditing your time, you ensure that you stay focused on high value activities while continuously freeing up more of your time through delegation. Anyway, if you're interested in learning how you can use the frameworks I just mentioned here to take 1 whole month off out of your business, completely disconnected from work emails, from Slack, from putting out fires, then I highly recommend you check out this video here.